My name is Rabbi Long, and I'm the uncle of Avi Samuels. My wife and his mother are sisters, and I started working in this profession about 40 years ago. Avi's great-grandfather and my grandfather through marriage was a very illustrious figure in Europe, and actually he lived in Yugoslavia before World War II, and he was a big posek in the laws of the writing, and was well known throughout the whole of Judaism, European Judaism, and everywhere as a very knowledgeable person in this field. And it was on that inspiration that I decided to take this up as a profession. I actually was originally when I graduated from college, before I came here to Eretz Israel and before I became Frum, I was into the arts. I was a painting major. And actually, I worked on that when I was here also for about a half a year to a year, and I was painting very big paintings. One of them was in the Knesset. And then, thank God, Baruch Hashem, I realized that it wasn't for me, and I wanted to go into something that was a little bit, let us say, cleaner profession. And so I started working in the profession of the holy letters. This particular pair of tefillin that I'm working on for you right now, mamash, I'm writing the parshas, is a very, very special, unique type of pair of tefillin. There are very few people who are writing this small and this delicate at the level of perfection that I work on, and it takes me a very, very long time. Actually, I was going to put it off and for a few more weeks, but I started right away because I was actually writing this type of custom of writing as it was before I got the order. So I decided to continue and to work on your tefillin, which I'm actually almost finishing at this point. I've been working for 2-3 weeks since I got the order, and I'm coming to, this is the last of the parshiot that I'm writing. I'm going to show you a little bit of the writing example, and I want to show you the difference between this size and other size, and also the batim that I was prepared for it. Right now, I'm writing the last parsha in tefillin. There are four parshiot in tefillin. All of them discuss the mitzvah of tefillin. Every letter of the Torah has very, very specific laws that are brought down in the way the letter is formed. And to do these things exactly, one has to be very, very accurate and very careful, and go very slowly. Because of the smallness of this kasav that I'm writing, it requires to go even much slower than usual, in order that I can be able to include all these very important specifications in such a small handwritten form. That was one word, nafshechem. Just to show you the difference, we're talking about a tefillin that is basically 30% smaller than normal tefillin. A normal tefillin like this over here, a pair of batim like this, will be a size, what we call 33, 34 centimeters. That is talking about the size of the square that you find over here. That's what regulates the size of the tefillin, is the actual size of the square. The squaring of tefillin is Halukah Moshe Sinai, that is brought directly to Moses from Mount Sinai and given over to the Jewish people. There's specific laws. They're not the ones that you find bulk in the written Torah. The ones that were given over al peh through speaking between God and Moses, and many of these laws we find in the creation of tefillin. So one of the aspects of those laws is the squareness of the tefillin. The squareness has got to be perfect, both in three places: in the top part here, in the base part, what we call the tatura, and in the place where the tefillin are sewn. And there are two places where they're sewn, in the bottom, and it goes to the top up here. Those are the places in which it's obligated to have a perfect square. Now you can imagine that's a little bit easier to do when we're working with a larger area. The smaller ones is much harder to work with, and they're more costly because of that. And the ones, of course, the small ones is the one we're talking about for your tefillin. Now, this would be the parchment of a shel rosh, the parchments that are going to be going into a head tefillin. This would be the regular size. Right, this one's not a kosher one. Right, it had some water damage here and whatever, but this is a regular size over here. As opposed to this very, very teeny, smaller kasav over here.
Put it close up.
Now, these are the batim that we're going to use for your tefillin. Bezrat Hashem. This is the shel rosh, and this is the shel yad. I opened them up because I needed to check the size to make sure that these parshas are going to go in properly, because it's a very, as you see, the difference is quite large. I mean, I would even say, batim wise, it would probably be 50% the size smaller, like a 50% smaller, which is a third actually of the whole thing, but it looks much smaller than just being a third. Now here, the rest of the parshas I have for this tefillin are right here. As I said, I'm working now on the last one. I had to fold this up just to make sure that it's going to, it's going to go into the inserts here. You see, inside the batim, you have 4 compartments. The shel rosh, you have 4 compartments. Can you get that? And these batim have the hidurim of what's called you have a chut, a tefirah, that is this from the sewing, the gid that we use to sew, but it goes throughout the whole of the batim inside. See up here and over here, This is a special hidur, a special perfection in terms of batim. So each one of these have got to fit into each one of these little inserts here. There are 4 of them. There's what's called the Parsha Kadesh. This one, and this is the one I... And then we roll it up very, very, very tightly, which is what I did before, and then put it into this aperture here, this hole in the Shelyad, which I told you about. I had done that before, and I checked it out so it fits. And that's basically it in terms of, the procedure that I'm working on to finish the tefillin. If you'll want them earlier than we talked about, which was Pesach, they will be able to be available for you. Hopefully within the next 2 or 3 weeks. And you can work that out with Avi if you want to be able to pick them up beforehand. If not, then they'll be, obviously can be picked up on Pesach as we spoke. It was a privilege for me to work for these